Evening, everybody.
Good evening.
It's a select bunch this evening, isn't it? It's
Yeah.
a compact group, which is nice. Okay, so for your benefit, Gabby, just to fill you in on what we do, it's all very casual and informal. And the basic idea behind it is to just enable people to develop a bit of mindful practice of their own. So we do a few little exercises which we practice them here, but the aim is that this isn't the only time that people are mindful, that they then take it away and then practice throughout the week as and when they are able. Every week there's a different topic, so we have a little bit of a chat. And it used to be a bit, not like a sermon, but it used to be that I would stand up at the front and everybody sat in the pews and then I would just talk. And it got a bit like a sermon and we didn't like it, so we messed around with it a little, and now it's all a bit more discussion based and a lot more informal and a lot more chatty. And the theme for this week, initially it started off with being is mindfulness neutral and passive? Because there was something that I'd read from John Kabat-Zinn. I don't know if you've heard of him. If you've been doing a bit of reading into mindfulness, you might have heard of him. And then I thought, actually, no, I'll shorten it because I like my topics to be short rather than lengthy. And I changed it to be strength through mindfulness, or strength from mindfulness. So we'll explore the idea of strength in a moment, and also that sort of idea of whether mindfulness is this incredibly passive thing, and we'll see where we go from there. But we'll start off with a little exercise, shall we? Is everybody warm enough?
Yeah.
I didn't think it was too bad today. The heaters have been on for a little while, so we're not too parky. Let's start with we'll poke each other's eyes out and do some mindful arm movements. This is where everybody. Or should I do something else?
Oh. No, it's more time.
Just do small movements.
Oh my word. Sorry, Jim.
No, don't be sorry. It's my fault for sticking that by the leg of your chair.
You can do it with your arm in a second.
Shall I move it back? I'll move it back, otherwise.
Yes, I
Zaza will send it flying.
Whoops. Your turn.
I told you it was informal. Okay, so the first little exercise that we do is we just open our arms out and bring them together, and open our arms, and then we connect it with the breath. So as we breathe in, we bring the hands together, and as we breathe out, we bring the hands apart. As simple as that. Breathing in, moving the hands together, breathing out, bringing the hands apart. And just really being aware of that movement. Nothing more than that. Just being aware of our arms moving in and out. And aware of our breath. That's it. Just nice and simple. Just aware of breathing and aware of movement. Following the movement as it happens. So the purpose of that really is just to, it's about awareness. Mindfulness is about awareness, being aware of the present moment, this moment in time right now. Past has gone, future hasn't happened, the only moment is this moment. And we breathe in the moment, and our awareness should be about everything that's happening in this moment. And so just a simple exercise like that brings our awareness to our body and the movement of our body, and it brings our awareness to our breath. So that can then lead us on to our topic. So thinking about whether mindfulness is this, to begin with, whether it's this passive, inactive thing. So personally, I don't think it particularly is all that passive. There is this sort of misconception, if you like, that it is just about sitting, doing nothing, allowing everything to just happen around you, not responding to anything, being completely, what's the word? I mean, a lot of it is about acceptance, but almost, I suppose there's this misconception that when things are kicking off around you, you are detached from it, maybe, or that you're not. You almost become this, just this passive spectator that isn't involved, that doesn't show any passion, or seems to be quite emotionless. Do you think that's true? Do you think there's a bit of, I mean, in terms of mindfulness, having that perception, do you think it has that? Yeah.
It's perceived.
It's perceived.
I can see how it could be. No.
That's a good expression for it. Yeah, this numbness to everything, that you're this kind of relaxed, chilled out, hippie style person that just goes, oh yeah, go with the flow, whatever, I'm not engaged, I'm not involved, just let it all happen, and I'm non-fussed, nonplussed, completely unfazed, it doesn't affect me. Whereas the true nature of mindfulness is the exact opposite of that. It's about being absolutely aware and engaged with what's happening. And whilst you may not be reacting to everything that happens with great passion, yes, you should, if you're being mindful, be slightly, just that little step back from it, but still very much engaged and ready to respond, because you're aware, because your awareness is in the present moment, and because you're not judging everything, then that allows you to be even more involved. Those people that are judgmental and do look at what's happening around them in the situation that they find themselves, and are judging it based upon everything that's happened before, or judging it based upon their preconceptions, or judging it based upon what they think is going to happen next, because that's the big one. People always try and second guess what the next event is going to be, that they are then tarnished by that. But the reality is, obviously, by being very much engaged, you are absolutely active within the present moment.
But you're not running around like a headless chicken.
Exactly. And you're not reacting to it, you're responding to it. You take that, that's what I was going to say. You take that moment to have a mindful breath. If something happens, you can take a mindful breath so that you can engage and be aware, and then choose the most appropriate response.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so that you respond appropriately, so that you communicate effectively, because you're aware of what the other person that you're communicating with, what they're saying, how they're standing, what they're communicating in more ways than just their words. And so it's absolutely active and engaged and unpassive. So that's what I speak to it. Let's do another little exercise, and then there's something else to talk about this. And what I'd like to do is I'd like to bring us to our breath again, because of all of the elements to mindful practice, as we know, our breath and our awareness of our breath is key, and developing that is really at the centre of developing any kind of personal mindful practice. So we'll take some time now to just breathe. I shall invite the bowl to sound as we breathe. So you may close your eyes if you wish. It's entirely up to you. But to begin, I'd like you to just be aware of the breath at your nostrils and follow each breath as it happens in and out through your nostrils. And now shift your awareness back slightly further and just be aware of the breath at the back of the throat and in the neck as the air enters and leaves the body through the tubes in the back of your throat and in your neck. And now follow the breath down to the top of the chest. And be aware of the rise and fall of the chest as you breathe in and breathe out. And again, just follow each breath as it happens, moment by moment. Now be aware of the breath right down at the diaphragm, the bottom of your lungs. And follow it in and out, and follow the movement. And if you want to, when you breathe out, really push the diaphragm right up so you expel all of the air from your lungs. So you get a real awareness of the physicality of your breath. Now bring your awareness to the three parts of the breath. So you breathe in, you breathe out, and then there is a pause between breaths. So just be aware of each of those component parts. Breathing in, breathing out, and then the pause. If your mind wanders, that's fine. Just notice that it's wandered. Notice that thoughts and ideas have crept into your head. Just bring your awareness back to the breath, back to the three components, paying particular attention to the pause. Just allowing yourself to relax into that pause. Aware of that small moment of peace between breaths. For the next few moments, we're not going to do anything, we're not going to think anything. We're just going to be alive and follow each breath as it happens, in and out. Maintaining awareness of the pause. Easy, isn't it? I suppose that's the thing with activities that we think are passive, or is that they're easy. Is mindfulness easy?
No.
I suppose it's easy when we're sat here like that. You've got somebody talking you through it and inviting a bowl to sound and reminding you to what to be aware of and to not worry about thoughts and all this kind of thing. Then it is easier. But mindful practice isn't easy.
It takes a lot of practice to get done.
It's simple, very simple.
It's remembering to do it when you need it.
Yeah, and that's it, isn't it?
Yeah.
When you're doing about your day-to-day business, when the grandkids are running around, letting off toy bombs in the front room, and demanding chocolate and crisps and all the other stuff that goes with being alive in the modern world. Actually making time to practice, reminding yourself to practice, reminding yourself to breathe, bringing your awareness to your breath, not allowing yourself to judge things, not allowing yourself to mull over everything that's happened in the past or project into the future. It's not easy. Not easy at all, maintaining that. So no, mindfulness certainly isn't an easy thing to do. So by that very definition, that makes it absolutely not passive. And what was the other word that I had? Fails me now. It's not, no, because it's not easy. It's very difficult to make the time. It takes energy. It does take conscious thought, even though it's supposed to go beyond conscious thought. It's supposed to surpass that. It still takes an element of that to coax your awareness, to bring your awareness to the present moment. So no, it's certainly not easy thing to do. So where does the strength come from? How can we develop strength from mindful practice? Anybody got any ideas before I offer my?
You go first.
Personally, I particularly am able to take strength from that pause. The pause between breaths, for me, is a source of incredible strength. Possibly because I particularly like the almost the antithesis of it. The pause between the breath is quite passive in that the body is completely relaxed. There's no tension. In that pause between breaths, there's no muscle tension. The muscles aren't pulling down to breathe in or pushing to breathe out. It's all calm. The body is at rest. And it's a very, almost a static moment. Apart from when we're asleep, we tend to always be moving. Certainly internally, there's always movement. Our heart's always pumping, all this kind of stuff. Little tiny adjustments, as even sitting, your muscles are still moving, and there's still tiny adjustments. The bones in our ears are always going, and our eyes are always, the muscles in our eyes are always working, and the synapses in the brain are always firing. So there's always this internal activity. But in that pause between the breaths, you can almost tune into things being still. And out of that stillness, I find I can draw a lot of strength.
It's particularly useful if you can feel yourself not being in control.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
If you're faced with something that's classic, this night before last, 1:20, I've got an alarm screaming in my house.
Mhm.
It's a hell of a way to wake up when you're not expecting it. And there was just that moment, and I thought, I don't know what it is, I don't know if it's the house alarm, it's not a clock alarm. And I could feel myself getting more and more screwed up. Right, just sit there a minute and calm down and think about what you're going to do about it. Well, you just pull all the plugs out until it stops, which is exactly what I did. That time in the morning, you can't call anybody, can you? And it was the pump in my bloody fish tank. Oh dear, it was making a noise.
Yes. So that's it. When we feel that things are maybe out of our control, that's when we need strength.
Absolutely.
In order to absolve ourselves and resolve ourselves, rather, to act and to act appropriately. So we need a source for the strength. And I certainly find that it can come from that pause. For me, the pause between breaths brings me instantly to the present moment, because in that pause I can just be alive, and be able to step away from the doing and the thinking. You know, one of my mantras is, we're not human thinkings, we're not human doings. We don't have to constantly fill our time with doing and thinking. And so that pause between breaths just certainly allows me to stop the doing, stop the thinking, just be. And then from that being alive, pure and simple, which is the bedrock, the foundation upon which everything else is stacked, gives you the strength. Yeah, it gives you the strength, and then gives you
it gives you back the control to deal with it.
To respond. Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So other elements of strength that we get from mindfulness. We touched earlier on communication. And as we know, if you're mindful, your communication is so much more effective and efficient. I'm painfully aware that when my communication is at its worst is when I'm completely non-mindful. You know, if I'm having an argument with my wife, which does happen, it's because, you know, I'm not going to put the blame onto her. It's because I'm not being mindful. It's never her fault.
Like around noses,
But it's generally because I've not been mindful. You know, I'm not in the moment, and because I'm not being mindful, I'm not communicating effectively.
Does your wife do the mindful thing as well?
Not particularly. It would be nice if she did.
Well, I'm just saying you're putting it all on yourself, but it takes two to make
Well, yeah. I don't.
But she's going to watch the video later.
I can edit the video, it's fine. I can say what I like, I can edit those bits out.
It's all my fault.
That's the thing, isn't it? It's like, but you know, I'm a therapist as well, so surely there should be nobody within my immediate circle of family or friends or anybody that has any problems, because I'm there to just, you know.
Oh, absolutely. Irritating.
Kind of. Well, it's like, well, no, because I don't put it out there or preach it, or, you know, maybe occasionally I will just say, breathe, and that's about as far. That's about as far as it extends with me. Because I don't, you know, I don't eat meat either, but I don't go around preaching to everybody else about, you know, not eating meat. It's your decision. You know, if you
do your
want
children eat meat?
Yeah, they do. Because that's up to them. When they get older, they can make the decision themselves. No, but then she never really liked it anyway. And then when we got together, it was easy because she wasn't that fussed. And it saved cooking 2 meals. And now she's even more staunch than I am. You know, I eat fish, so I'm not even a proper vegetarian. I'm a pescatarian. And she can't stand fish. hates it. So she doesn't know. So no, I don't. So I don't like to go around preaching or trying to therapize, if that's a word, everybody.
More so since I've been coming to this, and maybe I'm just getting a bit more mindful.
Okay.
It seems to really irritate some people because I'm not buying into their drama and I'm just...
Yeah, it's
There's
interesting.
no, they're like this because there's no conflict.
Well, that is it, and you know what that is, and I'll tell you exactly what that is. That's their ego. Because ego's the shocker. Because ego's the part of our brain, our conscious mind, and to a greater extent, I suppose, our unconscious mind, that thinks we're right. Has all the opinions about our own self-importance and self-worth, and all those little dramas that people get involved in are sustained and maintained by their ego, because that gives them status and it gives them importance. You know, oh, I'm involved in this drama, that gives me some kind of, you know, it gives me status and it gives me worth because there's drama around me. But if you don't engage in that, then their ego takes a front, because it's like, how very dare you not be interested or engaged in my drama? It's almost as if it's almost as if you're invalidating them, and they don't like that. People don't like that, and it is because they're absolutely unmindful that they take offence to it.
And the more unmindful they are, the more offended they are.
Oh, absolutely. Because the more ego-driven they are, and the more power these little dramas have, and the more emphasis people place on them. They feel that they are defined by these dramas that they create in these situations.
And their rules.
Yeah.
They're not playing by their rules.
Exactly.
You see why Gandhi was so effective.
Oh yeah. Well, that's everything that was happening out in India at that time. That he was, you know, active as a political and spiritual force. Was for him to behave in that way, to be essentially just to be in that way, was incredibly powerful and strong. You know, the strength that he provided to the people was phenomenal. But you know what that he was, not that he would say he was fighting necessarily, but what he was trying to counter was incredibly egotistical. You know, the way that the what's it called, the Raj and the trade companies and all of those things were operating. It was all very self-serving and egotistical and built upon power and control and conquering it all. Yeah, very interesting. Very interesting. Where do you know, you've already expressed that you find it gives you strength to take control when you perhaps feel out of control. Does anybody else have any occasion? You said that you find yourself now completely unreactive to drama. Do you feel that gives you strength?
Well, yeah, because you're more connected to it. You're just not connected to the drama of it.
That's right.
And so you can see it more clearly.
Yeah.
You're not blinded by all this crap that's going on, all other people's stuff.
Exactly.
Or your stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
Not just other people's stuff, it's my stuff too.
That's an interesting phrase you use about being connected. Particularly in this modern age where we talk about being connected, particularly in the internet age, it's all about connectivity and being connected. But yeah, mindfulness is connecting absolutely with the present moment and connecting with what's going on around, both around you and inside of you. And so by being mindful, you connect with that. And by being connected, it gives you strength and power.
A much further grasp on whatever it is.
I certainly find I'm able to make much better decisions. They don't necessarily feel more informed, but they come from a more they come from a place which is which has substance, which has words are failing me today.
I know what you mean, but it's not. It's not like, is it, how, well, I don't know if I know exactly what you're saying, but for me, sometimes it's as if, wow, where did that come from? That's not me, but it's obviously must be me, it's come from me, but it's, I don't know, I can't describe it either.
Yeah, that's it. That's it. It's not decisions or it's not decisions based upon ego. It's decisions based upon some level of authenticity. That real you, the real observer, that's not jaded by attachment or labels or judgments or anything like that. It comes from a much more authentic place, and so the decisions that you make when you're in that state of being have a lot more gravity and authenticity and potency. That's one of my favourite words as well.
Nice word, that.
They're just a much more, potent. Yeah. Okay. Right. Let's sit now. We'll finish by sitting. So we start with our eyes open and we just look around and we take in what we can see. And then once we have seen, we may close our eyes and we can bring awareness to what we can feel. So we can feel our bodies sat on a chair. We can feel gravity pulling down through our head, through our spine, all the way down through our bottom into the seat. You can also be aware of gravity pulling on the shoulders, on the arms and the hands. We're aware that our feet are in contact with the floor. We're aware for a moment that our body has mass, it has weight. We can be aware that there is fabric in contact with our skin. We may also be able to feel air moving across our skin, across our face, our hands. We can be aware of smell. Not smelling anything in particular, just being aware that we can smell. And then aware of taste, aware that there is a taste in our mouth at this precise moment in time. And then finally we can begin to listen to sound. Just to accept sound as it happens, moment by moment. And again, it may feel that just sitting and listening is a very passive thing to do. All we're doing is just allowing our ears to accept sound. But to really listen, moment by moment, is incredibly active listening, acute awareness of sound. Again, if your mind wanders, it's fine. Just be aware that it's wandered. And bring your awareness back to listening. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you very much
for coming, and keep practicing. Do some arm movements, do some mindful breaths in the morning. Are people remembering to do a few mindful breaths in the morning?
Yeah.
You've been doing that. It's working. Good.
You didn't see Goldie Hawn on Jonathan Ross, did you?
I didn't know.
With the feet.
Yes.
That was good.
And she was all about mindfulness, wasn't she? Because Ant and Dec were on, weren't they? And they were sort of taking the mickey out of her, really. But she stood her ground.
Good for her. Good
She
for
did,
her.
you know.
She's worth 10 of them.
Yeah, go Goldie.
She was saying that she does take time out every day and you know, her feet.
Yeah, she was doing this with her feet.
Feet.
She said it's You can't keep doing it and not take a big breath at some point.
Right.
Yeah.
So everyone's...
And you have to concentrate,
Yeah.
which again makes your mind take.
Yeah, well, that's
anything.
the same as the arm movement.
Yes,
Yes.
Just being aware
Yes.
of movement
Yeah.
in
Yes.
the moment.
Yeah.
That's all
Yeah,
it
it's
is.
good.
That's all it is.
Mm.
Good. Well, keep taking. Yes, I ask people as a little exercise. It's just first thing in the morning when you wake up, or as soon as you remember, just take 3 breaths mindfully. So it doesn't necessarily have to be the second you open your eyes. Maybe it's when you're making a cup of tea downstairs. But as early as you can in the day, just take 3 breaths, and it sets you up, gives you strength for the rest of the day.
I find it quite good for first thing when I open my eyes.
Yeah, because it just reminds you that you're alive.
Alive.
Yay! I woke up for another day.
I do find
Still
myself
here.
saying to people, like we've got friends at the moment that've got some maybe health issues, and they say, oh well, what in 6? And I said, I do find myself saying, just live now, and it's having an effect on them as well because they're taking it on board.
It does. It does.
does.
Well, that's another source of strength from mindfulness. Is the more you practice yourself, the more you almost radiate it.
Yes.
And that's why I don't like to do that preachy thing and go around to people saying, oh, you should be more mindful and you should do this. And this. Because it hopefully by me being that way encourages them, even without them realising,
Yes.
to, if they see, hopefully they will see me taking a breath and doing my best to be in the moment. And that will bring them to the present moment. So that's another.
It's
a great source of
non-confrontational, isn't
power
it?
and strength. Yeah.
If you can stay calm and in the moment, you can bring other people down to that level as well. Not always.
No, not always.
Like
It's
when
quite
you smash
surprising
the
when they
windscreen
join
on
it.
the car.
That'll do it.
Yeah, that's enough to get me right
This was the first thing. When I let the dogs out, one of them wouldn't come in, so I had to go out and get her.
Is this all the same day?
All the same day.
Oh.
Not today.
No, it was yesterday. Something else went wrong, and then
The alarm.
coming up, very aware of the fact that I'm not really being mindful. I'm all jangly, things aren't right. I pulled out to overtake a line of cars, and the last one was a van. Just smashed my windscreen. Yeah. And I said a very rude word.
That's okay. You are allowed to swear.
Said it mindfully.
It's all right.
And then I just thought, well, that's bugger all I can do.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I'll deal with
Everything
it.
happens for a reason.
So it's tied together with best string and sellotape at the moment.
Everything happens to lead you to this point right
Yeah.
now.
Yes,
That's what it does.
absolutely.
That's what it does. It leads you to now.
Yeah.
Good.
It's a nice
So
way
it
of
was
putting
just
it.
one of
Yeah,
those,
it does.
just
Yeah.
everything like
That's
that.
what we came up with last week.
Oh, when I
Because
wasn't here.
the subject for last week was everything happens for a reason. And we-
Like Jim forgot to bring the keys.
Oh, really?
I was all in a fluster because I left the house, got halfway here and realised I didn't have the keys to open the door, so I had to go home again to get the keys to come back. So when I arrived, everybody was waiting. Everybody was waiting at the end of the
Freezing.
Freezing.
Oh.
Saying rude words in my direction. Left them out in the car. And I said, well, everything happens for a reason. But ultimately things don't happen for a reason. It's just to lead you to this point in time right now. Or maybe they do happen. We don't know.
And you can't watch the video because...
And you can't watch the video. Well, you can. You can watch the first 10-15 minutes.
What, last week?
Last week, because I forgot, because I was in such a fluster, I didn't clear space on the video camera, so I only recorded the first 15 minutes before it cut out. So I forgot the keys.
That even the teacher can get it
Messed up
on.
the video, but we did. It was a nice meeting. It was good. There was quite a few
yeah.
of us, so it was quite nice.
Yeah, it was good.
It was funny. But yeah.
They're all good though.
Yeah.
I was organised tonight. I was was here early, everything was set up, it was all good. It was all good. Right.